Welcome, everybody. I think we've all heard of Bitcoin recently, the coin that has revolutionized the world. But have you ever wondered what makes it so valuable? Its value, between other things, relies on the blockchain system that allows for a decentralized money system. But do you know that this blockchain system could also help us save the world? I didn't know either, which is why we brought an expert, Leonardo Neves. He's a political scientist. Currently, he is international intelligence analyst in the International Intelligence Unit from the Getulio Vargas Foundation and lecturer at the Department of International Relations from the IBMEC College. In addition, he worked as project coordinator and coordinator for studies and debates on the Brazilian Center for International Relations. Also worked with civil affairs section of the Brazilian Joint Center of Peacekeeping Operations. Leonardo, it's an honor to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you very much for the introduction. It's an honor to be here and being able to talk to you guys about this subject, which is amazing. I think it's very interesting, and it's more lever. I mean, it's not that can help save the world. I mean, it's just one more lever in this huge machinery. First of all, I would like to thank you very much for the invitation again, especially for the program of regional security, the Programa Regional de Seguridade Energética e Câmbio Climático na América Latina, the called Adenauer. Nicole and Maria made me this very gentle invitation, so it's an honor to be here with you guys. So let's delve into it. I mean, you guys asked me to talk a little bit about how blockchain can democratize energy. And let's begin by saying that, I mean, blockchain is not save the world by itself. I mean, blockchain is not a panacea. It's not like those 19th century elixir that can solve all illness in the world. I mean, it's just one technology. Powerful technology is true, but it's just one technology. And that means, on my second premise, that techs work better together. I mean, they are very powerful. The best solutions, in fact, are those that combine different kinds of technology, especially AI, the artificial intelligence, IoT, Internet of Things that are very important nowadays, 5G, and of course, blockchain is one of these very powerful, interesting, and innovative technologies. So I think that we can first begin by understanding very little about what's blockchain. I mean, it's not my intention to give a lecture about it, just to highlight some issues. And here I'm putting some of the features that I think that are most important. Blockchain is basically open source, distributed, and transparent database, essentially a digital ledger. It connects devices and computers to one another, creating a network. And they automatically reconfigure themselves depending on the storage capacity, making it incredibly strong and resilient. Well, blockchain is truly innovation, in fact, is to prevent double spend possibility. Computers created the marvel, I mean, the idea of copy and paste. I mean, all of us are copying and paste everything, files, music, images. But the ability to prohibit, to create, the disability to copy and paste, I mean, prohibits the ability to create a viable and trustful system of exchange of value. And that's what blockchain is managing to do. I mean, it's basically allowing us to not be able to double spend. For instance, I can send one Bitcoin, I cannot send one Bitcoin to Nicole and then send the same Bitcoin to Alejandro. The network nodes would block this possibility. So that's why we can put this idea of money on the internet. I mean, that's the first breakthrough technology that allows us to do. And there is another huge, and it's huge because, I mean, blockchain can also manage to create a system that's very secure, that does tamper resistance. I mean, you cannot change the blocks, so you cannot change the history of the transactions. So it's very strong for it. It's fully transparent. I mean, everyone can see all the transactions in the blocks. And also at the same time offers privacy, because while you can check all the details of the transactions, you can only see the address of his or her digital wallets, not the identity of the person, and etc. I mean, there's all of them here. So I think that one major feature, and that's one of the major features that helps in energy, and I'll go into that in a couple of minutes, is the idea of trust minimizing. Blockchain managed to create a network that cuts the traditional transaction hierarchies. I mean, the top-down approach. I mean, in other words, it's remove the middleman that in general regulates and control the network as we know it. And that's huge because it gives total control to people to manage its own transactions and offers a wide array of possibilities and solutions. So in that sense, one of the very interesting phenomena that blockchain is helping by this trust minimizing feature is the scoping of the phenomenon that we call banking the unbanked. I mean, people that was outside of the financial system, with blockchain solutions, they can access financial services such as loans, insurance, without having to go to banks. I mean, having the high fees of banks, have to identify themselves to banks and other things like that. So decentralized finance is the next frontier right now, that those people are being able to access those financial services only by an app in a given smartphone. So you do not even to go to banks. So energy transition and tech revolution. But we all know that the consequences of the climate change have been rapidly become one of the most important issues of the global agenda. Along with the consequence of global warming, the current cause of global change is directly related to the series of environmental impacts, such as the rising of sea levels, increasing of extreme weather events, the shifting patterns of rainfall, which also creates instability in energy supply, as we know, especially here in Latin America with hydropower plants, among others. The two key strategies to cope with climate change is adaptation and mitigation. To deal with the current extreme events, many countries, and better yet, cities, in fact, have to adapt to infrastructure to minimize those effects. On the other hand, mitigation strategies is where we try to slow the pace of the climate change. And here is energy as a protagonist, because energy accounts for 70% of global emissions nowadays. And that's why, I mean, energy transition is necessarily from fossil fuels to renewables. But the pure conversion of the energy matrix is not enough. It's necessary to heavily invest in efficiency, and not only renewables themselves, but also from the systems. And that I mean distribution, consumption patterns, and many other possibilities. And that's why I think emerging techs can give a massive contribution. Some techs are very well positioned to give scalability to certain solutions that otherwise would be too small to be viable. And other techs can unlock solutions, new solutions that were not, I mean, they're only feasible in theory until now, not in practice, in fact. So the tech revolution that we are now witnessing is changing the dynamics of the game. I mean, and one of the most interesting innovations is that we can now able to move from the era of big central control systems and entering an era of decentralized, accessible, and democratic arrangements. So, going into blockchain itself and how it can help aid, better yet, energy transition, I think that the biggest problem in democratizing energy supply chains is to manage the complexity of energy assets, transformers, transmission network, distribution lines, end user payment methods, and reward system. Meter entities very difficult in that sense. So up to now, only big central actors were able to administrate and control this sector. And now blockchain tech, in my opinion, for its innovative features, can not only unlock new solutions, but also give scalability to others. I mean, which were up to now not viable. I mean some of the major contributions worth highlighting: fostering locally based energy productions, which means decentralization, enabling peer-to-peer markets without centralized units, avoiding again the middleman, allowing traceability of energy assets. You can, through blockchain, choose to buy green energy other than energy from fossil fuels. So it's very interesting. You can choose to buy it from a given specific generator. It can facilitate the creation of a reward system, especially through cryptocurrencies. Can streamline certification process. In general, certification and accreditation process are very difficult, especially to small scale generators. So they can streamline all this process, make it's clear. And of course, in general, it can reduce the barriers for new players. So, I mean, blockchain can in that sense, offer a huge amount of possibilities to help in the energy transition. I like this figure because it's managed to illustrate more or less the two major areas, sectors, better yet, that you can possibly find some solutions. I mean, you can find solutions in platforms through P2P trading platform, decentralized generation, and you can also find some solutions in the process of itself. So the billing, metering, and data transfer, automation, grid management, and others. So I think this illustration is good to help us have a better idea of where the solutions are. I also brought to show you some very interesting projects that I think that's very innovative and some of my favorites. For instance, the energy coin, this one, the NRG, energy coin, was originally created in Brussels. The project basically aims to replace the traditional high-risk renewable support policies with the new blockchain smart contracts, which better rewards energy and green energy. Basically, it allows to create a side market which producers can earn energy coin to supply energy, green energy, and consumers can buy energy with energy coin. So what's interesting here is that since the cryptocurrency, the energy is pegged to the kilowatts, so one energy coin is 1 kilowatts, it's resistant to policy changes, to value flows of energy, and consumers also can choose to buy when they buy energy with energy coin, they only buy green energy, so they can help the planets buy only energy coins, green energy. So it's very interesting. For HAPT, it's a Brazilian-based company. It's quite more complex what they're doing. I mean, they are using artificial intelligence, big data, tokenomics, because they are essentially they have two solutions, essentially. One is to integrate, control, and manage distributed generation assets and with arrangements such as microgrids and virtual power plants. Quite complicated, but they are trying to connect and manage microgrids. It's very important because sometimes, again, it's difficult to small cities outside big centers to have a good access to energy. I mean, have to rely on very long distribution lines. So some localities can generate their own their own energy, and they can manage that connecting to other microgrids. So it's very interesting how to work. They can work that, and they also are trying to digitalize trading, such as over-the-counter schemes and stock markets, trying to promote a connection with the free trade marketing. So very interesting, very innovative. The LO3 Energy is a US company that through blockchain, they're trying to better integrate generation and consumption of energy. So what they're trying to do is that, better. One of the big wastes of energy nowadays is that, in general, energy travels long. You generate, let's say in Brazil, a lot of energy in the hydropower of Itaipu in the south of Brazil, and you supply this energy throughout the country, especially to the southeast. So I mean, there are thousands of kilometers of distance through distributed lines. So you waste just this energy when you travel that long. What they're trying to do is through blockchain, they can trace where the energy is being generated and where they find the highest demand, so they can connect that locally. So thus making it more efficient and thus reducing the cost of the system. And we also have the solar coin, which is a very simple project. In fact, the Solar Foundation, they created the cryptocurrency solar to basically, which also is pegged to energy. So one solar coin is 1 megawatts. The idea is just to reward solar generator. If you want to generate solar energy, you can register within the Solar Foundation, and they can Solar Coin Foundation, and they send you those cryptocurrencies in rewards of the energy that you are generating. So afterwards, you can exchange this money. You can trade this solar coins in exchanges for fiat money, reais, dollars, pesos, whatever. So it's generating incentives to people to generate solar energy. Here we have many other solutions, divided by segments. So cryptocurrencies, wholesale trading, smart markets, P2P trading, as we already said, transportation, which is very important also. We are discussing a lot of blockchain solutions to generation, distribution, consumption of energy, but transportation is also a huge chunk of the emissions nowadays, so very important. And now we get to my basically last slide. I mean, to discuss with some of the very controversies regarding blockchain. Better yet, Bitcoin, because people try to think about blockchain as Bitcoin. So before beginning to address all those challenges, I think that in fact, those elephants in the room in general, we should bear in mind that Bitcoin is not the sole representative of blockchain. I mean, it's not the sole thing that it can offer us. Despite all its features, Bitcoin is on the first generation of blockchain solutions. Better yet, blockchain is the first application of blockchain. Yes, but Bitcoin is the very first application of blockchain. So it's interesting to see the other developments here. So let's see. Scalability. So yes, the Bitcoin protocol that we call proof of work currently can manage in the Bitcoin network roughly 4.6 transactions per second. Okay, so there's not a lot. Visa, the credit card, can manage nowadays more or less 1,700 transactions per second. So it's huge compared to Bitcoin. So systems such as Bitcoin are not very suitable to large solutions. I mean, because you have better solutions that are not based on blockchain. So I mean, if you have a technology that offer better solutions than blockchain, use it. So, I mean, blockchain is not supposed to be one size fits all tool. But the thing is, as I said, Bitcoin is on the first generation. Currently, we have several other solutions that can offer us hundreds of transactions per second. In fact, I think the leading cryptocurrency right now is Solana, and Solana can manage up to 5,000 transactions per second. So it's quite a lot. And I heard about the Canopus project that is being developed in the Waterloo University, which they are creating a new different protocol. They call the High Parallel Consensus Protocol, cutting edge technology, which they can concentrate communication within servers in the same locality. So they can, of course, dramatically improve the scalability of the project. So they are aiming, I mean, they are not operational now yet, but they are aiming to get up to 1 million transactions per second. So within blockchain. So again, blockchain can offer new solutions, and Bitcoin is not the only solution to everything. Second, we have the energy consumption. I think that's the one that we all read in the newspapers all the time when people want to criticize Bitcoin in general. So that's true. I mean, Bitcoin does really today require a huge amount of energy. Sometimes even they can is similar to entire countries' energy demands. But again, there are also protocols that trying to they demand, in fact, only a fraction of energy. So Ethereum, for instance, which is the second largest cryptocurrency by market cap, they are just now conducting a transition to a different protocol, what's called proof of stake protocol, which again only demands a fraction of energy that the proof of work used to demand. We have also other protocols such as Tango, proof of authority, proof of consensus. So again, energy consumption is a problem for Bitcoin, but it's not for the whole ecosystem. I mean, there was many other new solutions that are trying to cope with this issue. We have also jurisdiction legislation. The energy sector is one of the most regulated sectors in our society. And of course, legislation varies greatly from country to country and even from cities to cities. I mean, so that's problematic many times when you generate wider solutions. So creating disruptive solutions is always a challenge to comply with current regulations, and even pushing this difficult to push enabling solutions. So at this point, I think it's highly important to foster informative and high quality political dialogue with public authorities and legislatures. I mean, so they can stimulate enabling solutions. Regulatory sandbox methods nowadays, in my opinion, they are key to allow new solutions to thrive. And lastly, tech barriers. I mean, most fourth revolution techs are still in its infancy. I mean, they did not get grasped. I mean, we did not grasp the full potential of some of those technologies. In the case of Bitcoin, again, I'm sorry, in the case of blockchain, again, we just recently were introduced to NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and to decentralized finance, DeFi. So, I mean, a couple of years ago, I mean, we being able to use that at the commercial level. So there's a lot of ground to cover. I mean, we need much investment and research to better develop those techs and see how they can offers new solutions and making viable old solutions. And I think with that, I can conclude. And I'm here, happy to hear all questions. Unless you're going to ask me when Bitcoin will reach $100,000, that I don't know. But apart from that, I'm open to questions.
No, our interests go beyond money. So our questions definitely go more about saving the climate change.
Yes.
So the first question is not from the audience, but from myself. And it's so basically because of the centralized system of not only economics but also energy, as you mentioned, it's what seems to get us in this play, and that's why blockchain offers such a solution, such a revolution. However, what do you think could be the downside if we were to fully migrate to blockchain and decentralized systems in our world?
I think that will happen, at least not anytime soon. I mean, not in the time frame that we can see. I mean, fully migrate is a very difficult possibility because, again, there is a lot of financial incentives to have some degree of large centralized systems and large centralized generation units. I mean, we cannot generate the same amount of energy from decentralized sources that we can, for instance, in Itaipu, in Brazil, for a huge hydro plants. It's much more cost efficient if you have a huge plantation of solar panels. I mean, make a lot of more sense. But again, that does not mean that we cannot also create microgrids, generate locally energy, and try to better compose this figure. So I think that what blockchain is offering to us right now is to create new solutions to create a kaleidoscope of possibilities of energy generations and connect that, making everything more efficient. So I'm not in the team that think that we are watching a full transition process. I think that we are watching a composition that new solutions are trying to fill the gaps that big central actors have right now.
Okay, understood. So then the next question would be, what negative consequences do you think blockchain could bring to the world?
I mean, what's the negative consequence that cell phones can bring to the world? What's the negative consequence that internet or even a pen? A pen is an evolution from a pencil. So, I mean, blockchain is just a technology. I mean, it's not, again, it goes to my first slide, my first premise. I mean, it's not a panacea. It's not that it's going to save the world. Of course, again, people in general is held up to the idea about the problem of energy consumption. Yes, we have some protocols, and the Bitcoin protocols, proof of work is it's an energy hungry protocol. But again, we are developing new solutions right now that are not that power hungry. So, and they demand less energy than others. System. I mean, Visa, of course, consumes a lot of energy with its servers to process all the transactions that we use nowadays with credit cards. So, I mean, there is no solution without any costs. That's the thing. So, what I think blockchain can help us is to find more cost-efficient solutions, and then they can, since they are creating more cost-efficient solutions, they are more or less trying to enabling solutions that are up to now unviable, unfeasible. And that's what we think is important, because innovative ideas can now find more platforms to work with.
That is a great answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So our next question goes a bit on the inequality side. So what do you think would happen if some countries were to adapt this technology first, and then some countries were to take longer to implement it?
Well, most definitely the countries that are taking longer are getting behind. I mean, and that's true for all technologies. I mean, in general, for the fourth generation technologies, all the countries that are lagging behind, investing in IoT, investing in blockchain, in artificial intelligence, they are not being able to have these new solutions within its grasp. And thus, these solutions can help developments in general. They can help us as people. They can recreate trading systems. For instance, check the idea that I just gave to you guys about banking the unbanked. I mean, in Brazil, we have a lot of people that does not have access to financial systems. If you block several technologies such as IoT, 5G, blockchain, you will probably hinder the possibility of those people access to financial services that will block it to them in traditional banking systems because of high fees, because of all the KYC protocols. So I think whenever you try to block these innovations, these technologies, you are blocking development. I mean, you are lagging behind in competitiveness, for instance. Blockchain, there is a huge amount of possibilities and solutions for instance, global value chains. It's impressive. So you can have your country organize a better trading systems with blockchain, with IoT, international and big data, cloud computing. So we are like all countries that are taking time to not just to invest in new solutions, but also to create enabling legislation. That's very important because sometimes some countries are quite small, do not have the access to huge data centers and huge lab centers to create the technology, but they can create enabling legislation to allow those technologies to operate. El Salvador is a great example right now, since they approve Bitcoin as a legal tender. So they are creating enabling legislation, to make those technologies viable in the country.
Okay, once again, that is a great answer. Thanks. My next question goes between the blockchain and also because of your expertise with political affairs. So what do you make of the nations, of the countries, without saying any names, that are not happy with a transition to a decentralized system, not only in the economic, but in general? How do you think that discussion between authorities that are reluctant to accept a decentralized system and people, everyday people that want a decentralized system should go?
Makes sense that it's happening. I mean, it's happened our whole life. I mean, I can even go back to the globalization period in 1990s. I mean, even the idea of sovereignty has been tried to be flexible. We have been flexibilizing the idea of sovereignty for some time. I mean, of course, countries are very keen to hold the power, to hold the control of their own policies, and of course, the further we can decentralize things, the further they will be frightened. They're losing power, losing the idea they can control things. So it's the same with the internet. I mean, a lot of countries are very frightened about how can internet decentralize solutions, communication. What blockchain is now making to these players and countries is that through cryptocurrencies you can create a revolution in the financial system. I mean, through cryptocurrencies you can hold your assets, you can hold your money in cryptocurrencies and not on fiat currency. So they have to manage, they have to rethink how monetary policy it has to work. I mean, in a world with cryptocurrencies, because we can send money to other countries much more easily than we could up to now. We can have our money outside the system of your country. I mean, it's kind of crazy, this idea of cryptocurrencies nowadays, because it's a boundless world for money. So of course, I mean, that's pose challenges. It's not to say that this innovation will not have any friction. Will have friction. The transition might be painful for some countries that cannot manage well. It's true. But again, it's a new technology. I mean, it's offering us a lot of possibilities right now. It's making us spend less money with banks, with transaction costs. We can send money from country to country with a fraction of the time and fraction of the cost that we used to have up to now. For people that depends on remittances, it's huge deal. It's a huge deal. So, in my opinion, countries have to adapt. I mean, they have to rethink how they operate monetary policies. They have been doing that for like 300 years. They have to adapt. I mean, the technology makes that for all the in all sectors. I mean, cryptocurrencies would not be blockchain and cryptocurrencies will not be different. So it's a transition. Will have friction, definitely, but it's, in my opinion, it's unstoppable. I mean, it has to happen.
All right, that is very good. Thanks. We have one question from the audience, and he says, "How can I start learning in practice blockchain tools? As a young person, I hear a lot about it, but I don't know how we youth can start learning and applying this tool for our energy projects."
How we can learn? Yes.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Wow. Well, there is a lot of data nowadays, a lot of information in the web. I mean, you can go to Google. I can help with this. Perhaps later I can send it to the production here.
That'll be great.
Some very good links with some important places that can offer many different information material about how blockchain works, about how cryptocurrency works, and you can check with the production later all those links, because there's a lot of things online nowadays. I mean, there was a lot of people that's very interesting, because the community that work with blockchain is a very and cryptocurrencies is a very collaborative community. So if you go to, I mean, if you are a developer, you can go to the GitHub portal, and there they in general, since blockchains in general an open source technology, all the data, all the code is on GitHub, and people can construct the code. I mean, validate the code as a community. So there's a lot of things online that you can access. Then you can find all those information, how you can buy cryptocurrencies, invest in cryptocurrencies, use DeFi, use non-fungible tokens, create your own artwork, and then try to digitalize it with a non-fungible token, creating a timestamp. So, I mean, I can send later some links, and you can share with them.
All right, that would be pretty good, as many of our audience is young people that are really, really hungry to implement these new technologies. As you mentioned, authorities will have friction with the implementing. So, yeah, I think it's fair to say that youth has to be a counterpart of this desire for things to stay the same. So, yeah, with all the help you could give us, that would be very, very big for us. My next question is, which region do you think could benefit the most from a decentralized system? Do you think it will be like Latin America, Europe, Asia? Who do you think could benefit the most?
Depends of the solution. Again, depends of the solution, because again, if you're talking about decentralized finance and DeFi and solutions that are trying to bank the unbanked, of course, developing countries in Africa, especially in Africa and Southeast Asia, Middle East, and of course Latin America, will definitely benefit from it, because I mean, we have a lot of unbanked people. So it depends of the solution itself. But again, decent blockchain technology is a technology, so it can help in many different solutions in many different sectors. So all countries, in my opinion, all sectors will benefit somehow at some level from these solutions. So it depends a lot.
So I think there could be the ones who will benefit the most are the ones that can make the best solutions with the technology, right?
Yes, because again, people that are unbanked will benefit a lot from DeFi solutions. People from the business sector will definitely benefit a lot from logistics solutions, which has a lot to do with blockchain. Let me see. People within universities will probably benefit a lot from certification processes through time stamping and authentication solutions. So it depends on the sector. Many different sectors. Insurance sectors will benefit a lot with this new accreditation and certification of people that are trying to to how can I say that? When people try to buy an insurance, I mean, you have to have the history of a given person. If the history, if the history, yes, if the history of the person is within the blockchain, the insurance company can have for sure. I mean, they have guaranteed that the history of the person. So I mean, they can offer more easily and cheaper insurance to those people that have a clean history. Many different possibilities here. So again, I will not close on which country or region or even city will benefit most. I mean, different sectors will benefit differently from time to time, depending on the solution that is being created.
Okay, Leonardo, those are all of the questions we have at the moment. I do want to thank you a lot for your time and for your valuable knowledge. I think such valuable information for a technology that it's going to be so relevant in the future does not show up every day in our computers. So we are very glad that you took the time to talk to us, that you accepted the invitation. And at the end of the day, the change is going to come through education. So the fact that you help us educate the young people in these technologies and how they can be beneficial for us, I think that will make a huge difference. So muito obrigado.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine. I think it's very important for us that have been studying the subject for quite a while to again help young people, because you guys, you the younger generation that are going to play a huge role here. You are the developers. You are the trailblazers that are going to take all this technology and try to reach its full potential. So it's a pleasure, and whenever I can help, count on me.
All right. So thank you very much. And that is it for today's. Thank you, everyone that joined live, and for everyone that asked questions in our chat.